Hello, eRank. Welcome to another Thursday live Q&A with me, Pam, and
me, Bryan. Hi, everyone.
I'm Bryan. Unfortunately, Starla's not well today, but the good news is I never know which side to point. That way, the good news is we get Bryan.
Yay.
Yeah, and you guys are going to have to help us out.
So I hope that you guys are too.
Oh. Yeah, everyone wishes. I hope Starla feels well soon, but we're all happy to have Bryan as well. But you guys are going to have to help us because Etsy's not broken, nothing. I was going to say there's nothing happening in the world. There's plenty happening in the world, but we'll just bypass all of that. So there's no massive pressing issues to talk about. So we need your questions today.
We will need your assistance because Etsy's been a good girl this week.
I know. Give her a cookie. Good girl, Etsy. Yeah. It is nice not to have to be running around checking up on things and worrying about changes and things. Like, I want improvements, but sometimes it's nice not to deal with things. Hi, Anna. Hello, everybody. In fact, who have we got in the place? We have the Geek Authority, that's Lorenzo, Debbie, in a windy North Carolina. It's gorgeous here in Scotland just now. It's really bad when that happens because it won't last and then we'll all feel terrible. Created by EJF. Why can't I do letters together? Hello, Jessica's in the house. Anna, Homestead Redesign. Linda, Kat. Hello. Oh, Kat, great. Thank you. See, you'll jump to the. Stealing a question from Starla, but what one thing would you change about Etsy if you could? Search. the search engine on Etsy, just to make it. It's not just Etsy. It's like YouTube, everywhere apart from Temu. Just about like Shein and them seem to get it right. Everywhere else
TikTok is really the only one that gets it right. That understands exactly what you want to see when you want to see it.
Yeah, it's like Etsy, YouTube, Google even give you the average answer, and most of us are not the average, but we don't want what the normal people want to see, so we tend not to get it. And also it means I spoke about this week in a video and stuff myself personally. It's like, I'm not against print on demand. I'm not against AI stuff. I mean, okay, there's a lot of things about that. I'm not against a lot of things, but when you go on Etsy looking for a hand-painted thing or a handmade piece of clothing or something, it's very difficult to find those exact things. So it'd be nice to be able to see things like that. So
and it's difficult to know exactly what is handmade, what's not, and
yeah, there's a lot of things I've shouted at about Etsy, but I think we would all be shouting less if search was bringing the customers to us. You can deal with it's like, okay, prices of fees have gone up, fair enough. Okay, this has changed, but I'm still doing well. But when you feel things aren't going so great as well, it's harder to take all the changes. So yeah,
that's true. I would change options. I would like more options, whether that's in shipping settings. It's very, very limited, the options that you have in shipping. Coupons, they keep removing and adding options, moving them around, but you can't create a coupon like buy two, get one free. Like there's certain coupons that you just can't do. And so having a bit more freedom there would be nice. And having a third variation would also be great.
Yeah,
those are mine.
Cool. I was with the coupons, I was just thinking because they used to have the one you could set free shipping. What was a sort of long-term sale?
You were able to set a total dollar amount or item amount and then give that free shipping. They removed that when they brought in encourage larger orders.
But they removed the ability for you to create that. They didn't take it away from things that already exist. So
it's already there. You still have it, and don't remove it if you want to have it again. because you can't recreate it.
That's what I was just thinking. If there are any offers just now that you really like, put a listing in draft somewhere with it on it, hide something somewhere to save it so you can make listings of that or something. Because I did that orders over £100 shipped through, which I think is not fair at these certain prices for me, and I still have that. But yeah, you can't create it now. So save the things you like, because Etsy might take it. Etsy will take it away. They keep taking things away.
We wanted to make a change to ours because ours is set 150 Canadian, which is about 105 US for free shipping. And we want to drop that down because, people are now more financially uncertain. So we want to drop that down to about 120. And we're like, that's no longer an option. So it's good that we didn't disable our coupon first before doing that, because once it's gone, unfortunately. But every few months, Etsy drops something saying, hey, give us some feedback. And don't forget to give Etsy feedback. Write down all these issues that you have, like not having coupons for free shipping and that kind of thing. Because if enough people ask for it, they do listen. It's just enough people need to ask for it, and they need to understand that that's what sellers want.
And while we're on the subject of telling Etsy, this is not eRank, but this is Starla. Our wonderful Starla is doing a survey at the moment to find out the state of Etsy. So I would totally recommend Starla, if you're still here and want to drop a link, but I would totally recommend checking out her last video and going, because the more answers we get, believe it or not, Etsy does notice us little YouTubers sometimes. If they noticed me and reached out to me after one of my ranty videos, Starla's like 5 times the size of me, so they'll notice her if we get enough answers to be statistically significant, which I think she already has a good number of. So the results will be good, but the more answers that she gets, the better the results will be. So jump in there. Try and not have your totally salty head on when you answer. Let's be fair, but yeah.
The Geek Authority asks, can we discuss your amazing video this week, Pam?
Thank you. You can. I hate that it's when I do a reaction video that I do better, but it's one of a creator I've been following for years, an artist, Chloe Rose Art, made a video talking about how bad Etsy is just now. So I've done a bit of a reaction to that, because totally understandable. A lot of people that aren't quite as in the weeds as we are with Etsy will hear bad things, and they're not necessarily always being fair to Etsy, or they're maybe not being harsh enough to Etsy. So I like to put my perspective onto that. But what
clickbait, so sorting out what's the clickbait and what's like the reality is also a good thing to understand. Because if you go back on YouTube, go back 10 years, and you will still find videos saying, is Etsy dead?
Yeah. Well, it's not just that. Like, is Pinterest dead? Is YouTube dead? There's videos for everything. It's a way to get views. But there's certain things, like she's done some great research, but she's sort of getting angry at the sellers being pushed into giving free shipping. Like, well, that was 2019. Etsy have sort of rolled that back without really mentioning they've rolled it back. So I'm being fair and saying it's not quite that. This is a bit different and stuff. But as Lorenzo says, and all the great comments from it, everybody who watched the video, there's been such a great discussion. I'm going to have to filter through all the comments. I've been answering them as I can, but I'm going to have to filter through, because there's been so many good ideas on what's wrong with Etsy, what can they do better and stuff. So, and mainly constructive. There's been, I think there was only one person commenting and was just like, you said that, so I'm out. Bye. So I don't purposely go to do things to annoy people, but like, I think 1 out of all the people that have watched, that's not too bad.
That's not bad.
So, thank you for being kind, everyone.
Linda asked, anyone noticed that they're not getting as many reminders for reviews from Etsy? I have not noticed that. I'm still getting all the emails, because I I sell a lot on Etsy, but I also buy way too much because I like buying things. And I've noticed I still get all of the emails, but the notifications on Etsy, once you click on that notification, it's now gone. You will no longer see the persistent notification, because you used to see that until you left, or if you didn't leave a review, that persistent notification will be there for 100 days. And it was just frustrating because it would say you have 8 notifications, and it's like, well, yeah, those are the reviews that I haven't left yet. And so that I noticed is gone. But but the emails, I still get those emails. It's usually either the day of or the day after Etsy's estimated arrival date.
Yeah, which is usually often too tight, but it's good they're doing a little less, because I get why they were doing it.
Yeah.
But it was annoying a lot of customers, and it was how we were getting the 1-star reviews going, haven't got it yet, because
Which
the
that's
customer.
very likely a case of Etsy listening to sellers, because sellers have been complaining for quite a few years now about how those reminders are getting us negative reviews, because it hasn't even arrived it hasn't even arrived yet, and they're being asked for a review. So the review says hasn't arrived or haven't even looked at it yet. And so pushing for reviews before it arrived, that it didn't work out well. So I think that Etsy's kind of stepping back and being like, okay, maybe sellers are right and we can improve that. That could be why they did it. It might not be. Who knows? Who knows why they do anything?
They do listen to us, but they very rarely say, we've listened and you were right, we did wrong. They usually sort of sneak things back a little quietly or change stuff and things. So, which is fair. Look, people get mad if you stand up and say we were wrong. You're like, see, told you. Etsy doesn't know what it's doing, but rather it just quietly sneaks things back. And to be fair to them, they've got to experiment with things. They make reviews important, so they felt it was important to ask customers. And lots of sites are absolute pains for bugging you for reviews and things. So Etsy
And they need
wasn't.
to appeal to 96 million buyers, and they need to work it through with 5.6 million sellers. So there's a lot of one size fits all that they kind of have to work in. And so it's going to be hit and miss, a trial and error with anything that they change or anything they try and do.
Yeah, that's unfortunately one size fits all is probably never going to fit us because we're weird. Everybody here is weird. That's a compliment.
Well, we're all weird, but we also do completely different things. Someone that makes giant custom handmade $20,000 armoires doesn't need the same settings or the same features on Etsy as someone who's selling custom jewelry. So like there's just very different types of sellers, which is absolutely amazing. I love just the fact that you can find anything on Etsy, but there needs to be a bit more customizing, not just the attributes are different depending on what category you're putting the item in.
Yeah, we all have different needs. It's actually funny because I was talking to some people on eRank about this. We were doing a thing and we're talking about it. It's like, we need Bryan. Bryan has a lot of sales because his needs are very different from my needs. So we can sit and then look at that. So yeah, eRank is a much smaller scale from Etsy, and we're still sitting here going, how do we do that so it works for Bryan and it works for Pam and it works for you guys?
You need to appeal to the Caitlin minimalist with her 2,000 sales a day, and what is she over? She's over 2 million sales. And then you also need to appeal to someone who sells maybe one item a month. And so you kind of need they need to work with both types of sellers, and eRank needs to work with both types of sellers. So it's giving the right tools, the basic and advanced tools mixed together, and it's a very complicated thing. And that's why sometimes Etsy can make some missteps, and that's why sometimes eRank will make some missteps. And it's all about how they fix it or how they bounce back. That's the important part. Like how eRank listened. Us as eRankers, we also didn't like the when the new look came out, the left sidebar, the menu bar was white. And so the whole page was just very, very bright. So you guys complained, we complained, and got our
I
developers
think
to.
it was mainly myself and Bryan were doing gremlins going, bright light, no. That's the problem of being
But
vampires. Like, can't cope with that.
but unlike Etsy, we have a much smaller team, and so we are able to. When you give us feedback, we are much. It's much easier for us to listen and make the changes that apply to more people.
Absolutely. Yep.
Jess asked, can we talk a little bit about adding alt text? Alt text. Alt
Yeah.
text, well, it's not an SEO searchable field, and so it almost seems like a waste of time. It is an ADA field. It's meant for people with disabilities or people with screen readers, people who are visually impaired, or whatever the disability is. It's so that they understand what is in your photo. It's a way for you to. It's a way for someone who can't see the photo, or if they're looking at it on a small screen, so it's this big, and they're trying to see the details. The alt text will give those details. So it's not about stuffing it with just throwing any word in there and making it a word salad. It's about literally describing what's going on in as much detail as possible.
Absolutely. And if you have 6,000 listings, you're not going to add alt text to every single image. That's a lot of work. But if you add it, if you say, okay, I'm going to put this into my bestsellers because I know they're already ranking in good pages where they need to be. Now, wouldn't it be cool if, okay, maybe only 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000 buyers needs to use this, but if I'm the only person that's added alt text, they're going to buy from me because I've helped them. Well, they're more likely to buy from me, so it helps out that gives you an extra boost in the competition, and also just add it to your workflow when you're creating a new listing. It's only going to take you a minute to quickly type in some. What is that? Oh, it's a hat sitting on a white background. There you go. Takes you no time at all. So it's worth adding to the flow.
Exactly. Even if it's just your first image of a listing, just so that when people come to the listing, they know what the listing is and what they're looking at. You can use something like ChatGPT to explain what the image is. If you can't, like, put it in your own words into like your own voice, but also like you could just paste the image and say what is in this image and have it describe it, because that's what image recognition is for. It understands what's going on. And it's just it might not increase your sales, but it will help the people who can't see it make a more informed decision. So someone who can't necessarily, if you have dimensions in the listing and someone doesn't understand those dimensions, it will now read it out to them. Like there's just there's the little things like that which can help you make a sale where someone might have passed on it. So it won't necessarily bring more people to your listing, but it'll help the people that do find your listing. It also does help Google search. When people are doing Google image search, if you have alt text in there, Google image search does use alt text to understand the context of an image. So while your image might not have been displayed without it, it might be displayed with it, because your item might be something completely different than what the image is showing. The image is showing the item, but there's also a red ball that's moving through the table. And if someone's searching for red ball, your listing might actually show up there just because there is also a red ball in it. So it can help in other ways off of Etsy by having the alt text in there.
But again, it's not even for the help with the Google image search. Don't keyword
Use it
stuff.
for the purpose. That's not its purpose.
Yeah. It helps Google sort of with additional. Google can look at pictures and it knows what they are. But if it's not necessarily clear, it's describing to Google as well. It's saying, hey, this is what this is. So it's a red ball and a black hat and a white table. And it's like, oh, okay, so that's a hat. I thought that was a hat. We're good here. So
Exactly. So it just helps. It's a helpful thing. It's not going to bring necessarily more traffic to your shop, but it will help the people that are there, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, I actually just saw in the forums today someone was saying, what is it important doing this? And I said, absolutely, it's crucial for SEO. It's like it's not crucial for SEO. It's a nice thing to add, and when you've got time, do it. But don't don't sit down and go through 6,000 listings and then go, why am I not getting more sales? That it's not going to happen like that.
It's more about compliance because, like, if you have your own website, you are supposed to have alt text. And something like Shopify does use the title by default as alt text. But if you have a website and don't have alt text, so you're using a platform that doesn't do it automatically, you are not ADA compliant, which means if you sell to the US, you are not in compliance and someone can actually sue you for not having that information there. So it's always good. It's always good to have.
It's a good practice to get into for sure. What have we got? Oh, I forgot to check this. And not loving how Etsy did their fireside chat. Yes, Etsy have been doing some little podcasts, and it was Tuesday this week. I forgot to have a look. I know Starla had commented on their video, and they deleted her, which was not cool at all. But definitely let us know, should we watch that fireside chat, apart from getting angry at the Starla bit. But yeah, anyone who watched it, I absolutely meant to, but for some reason it's Thursday already and I thought it was only Tuesday, so I don't know what happened to this week.
They are starting to do a bit more things like that. I did not know about this fireside chat, but in the Etsy seller forums, they do now do a weekly update. Even if there's no information, even if they're just highlighting sellers, even if they're just showcasing something. Like I think in this past week, it was they showed something to do with they were highlighting maritime sellers, stuff like that. So they're trying to get more into the community on the seller side, not just putting ads out there for the buyers. So they're trying. They're trying.
And they do have a newsletter every other week, it seems like, as well, in the forum. So it's worth that they are trying, like you say. Oh, created by AJF is saying, I'd love to be able to put one item in two different sections. Yes. Yes, especially when Etsy did like gift mode and they said, make make a section for gift. Yeah. They said, make a separate gift section and put items in there. And copy some items and put them in there. And then they started saying you can't copy items, which is not true, but as far as I know.
You can copy items. There's nothing wrong with copying items in a single shop. The problem with that, and why I don't recommend it, I guess, is because if you have two of the exact same item, one in the gift section, one in the shirts section or whatever, and one sells, it gets a boost and the other doesn't. So now the listing is not getting the same boost that it would get. Because if both of those sell, one sells 10, one sells 5, this gets a little boost, this has a huge boost, instead of one getting 15, so it's way up there. So
yeah,
there's advantages having it in separate sections, but there's also the disadvantage of they're now competing with each other in search, and one will be boosted and one will drop. So I don't really recommend doing that.
it depends. Yeah, you can do it.
Set up. It's true.
Yeah, it can be good to A/B test things and stuff, but yeah, having two that are exactly the same is you're not testing anything there. And like Bryan says, it's not so much competing with yourself, but you're not going to get any valuable information. It's just the luck of which one's shown that's going to start getting the sales, and the other one will get left behind.
And that's only if someone goes to your shop and then goes to a section. If they're just looking at your shop, at your entire shop, now they're going to see two of the exact same listing. And that turns some people off because they're like, what's the difference between these two? And if they don't notice a difference, then they're like, I don't know what's happening. I'm just gonna move on. This is too complicated now because there's got to be something different because there's two listings, but what?
Yep.
What is it?
Especially when you're a dummy like me and you've been doing these tests and then you put the prices up and forgot to put the price up on one listing. That was fun for a little while. Oh, here we've got Galactic Galleria. How do you research what competitors are selling? That's a good question.
So there's two ways, I guess. The first is to use Etsy and search for the types of products that you're selling, or go to your product and scroll down to related items, and you'll see other competitor listings. Go to their shops and see what they're selling. And the other way would be the eRank way, which is using the keyword tool. And go to the keyword tool, type in your main keyword for a listing, and you will see your competitor listings. You will see what other listings are showing up for that term. And that's a good idea of where your competitors are price-wise, other terms they're using, and what they're selling.
Yeah, we also have our competitor tools. Trying to share my screen. So if you go into competitor research, you can look at, let's go competitor listings, and my computer will be slow. And then you can select any of the shops you have saved. This is just my own shop, so I'm not outing anybody here. You can see how terrible my shop is. And then you're going to get all the data. And also I didn't want to search for Bryan's shop because he's got like millions of sales and millions of listings. So here's mine. So you can search and see the recent listings from a shop, and then you can sort it by the highest estimated sales, which is pretty cool. It's only estimated, and it's not telling you what's selling at this minute in time, but it's the most recent listings, because when he searches at the top 100, most recent listings. So that tells you it sold a lot and it's still in their shop. So these aren't my listings that sold 10 years ago. You know, that's stuff that I'm at least keeping active. So that's something you can do. It's only estimated sales, but still very helpful.
The reason that's estimated sales, this is a question a lot of people have, is because eRank does not have that information. Etsy does not share that information with anyone. So if someone were to sell 50 of a single item, that's one sale, but 50 or one order, it's also one sale because the 50 were from a single person. I had that yesterday where someone bought 50 of something. That shows up as one sale because it's one line item. So those sales are very hard to predict because we're using different algorithms to try and figure that information out because Etsy does not share it. So we will see the drop of there were 100 available, now there's 50 available, but estimating those sales of something that happened previously is not an easy thing to do. So those are just estimated numbers. It's estimated revenue based on those numbers. They're not 100% accurate, but they are pretty accurate.
Yep. Definitely. I know Anthony said when they first did it, they'd figured out it was more than 80% accurate, and they're always tweaking things. So I'm sure it's higher. Anthony, if you're in there, what's our accuracy now? But it's pretty good. But if there's something really weird with the shop, if you've been gaming the system or something, getting fake views or something, then our algorithm might not be 100% on every single shop, but
if there's weird conversion rates and that kind of thing, usually if it's an extremely low conversion rate because they've just been funneling traffic there without sales, that will have an impact on the estimated sales as well. There's a lot of math that goes into it, and it's very easy to mess up that math if a shop is doing something abstract. But if you also notice something that just seems way off, send us a message. Use the feedback button in the bottom right corner. Send us a message, because those are the shops that we want to investigate. That way we can make the algorithm even better.
Exactly. Yep. Oh, Grishfam, good idea as well. Subsections in our shop. Dog collars, but have florals, plaids. Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah.
Yep.
Etsy, why? Why not? We do seem a bit limited in sections. I guess probably people would make a million sections and make everything.
Yeah.
That a lot of the restrictions on Etsy are because they know fine well some people are going to spoil it for us, basically.
Some people will try and go MySpace on it when they want it to be more like Facebook. They want it to be more standard instead of just you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's why even when you have the Etsy Plus, there's very, very limited things you could do. Like you could change the banner, you can make it a carousel, you can make it a thin banner, and that's it. And you can slightly change how your featured listings are shown, but you have very, very little control, even with Etsy Plus, which is the aesthetic changer of Etsy. They kind of want some semblance of this is all the same.
Yeah. Well, it's probably a couple of reasons. Well, yeah, several reasons. And it's easier for a customer. We all know that our customers are not the most tech savvy. Not all of them are the most tech savvy people. So if things are reasonably uniform, then it makes it easier. They also know they're on Etsy. I mean, eBay, you're not looking, it's fairly uniform. Amazon's reasonably uniform. But simply from the back end, I'm sure it's much easier to make a site that's pretty drag and drop uniform than everybody having their ability to do their own thing. So,
Exactly. It's little things like that. The subsections would be nice, but
yeah. Created by EJF again. I really like going to see the shops I follow when they release new items. It'd be nice if that was promoted more. Yeah, there's lots of things that Etsy could have done to make shopping on Etsy, for those of us that shop there a lot, a more social experience, a more they do a little bit show you what you've looked at and everything, but it would be nice if it was a bit more. Definitely. Like
they
Etsy,
show
the
like your
videos.
favorited shops add deals or add new items, but it's not necessarily. It's not as obvious in the app as it is in a browser. In a browser, it's a lot more evident because you have the notification right at the top. On the app, it's a lot more difficult to find that, and it can be frustrating.
Yep. I think there's a lot they can do to make an experience for people. For new people coming or for occasional shoppers, fair enough. But they were talking almost like making Etsy a crafty TikTok, making it a place that you'd want to come and browse, and they've definitely not done that. And bless them, I don't think gift mode did anywhere near what they thought. Someone commented on one of my videos the other day. They're like, "Yeah, but gift mode's gone." And I was like, "You what? What?" But it's not gone. It's still there. I had a major panic. I was like, have I missed a huge thing? But gift mode's still there. But
Yeah,
I can see it vanishing. Although they're saying, oh, it's driving more revenue and stuff, they never told us. Like, if something made one sale in a quarter and then the next quarter it made two sales, yeah, it's doubled.
that's a
But
200% rise in sales.
exactly. But that's rubbish.
Yeah,
So we don't know if growing faster than other things is growing faster and it's amazing. But I think because they tell us like the GMS for being on the mobile, they told us that that's like massive. They told us the percent, which I forget now, but it's big.
Mhm.
But if they don't tell us the percent from gift mode, my spidey senses say it's not as
it's not
big as
great.
they think it should be. Yeah.
It's true.
Oh, Linda's saying she's seeing less reviews than normal. They've slowed down, but it's okay because it was annoying to be having the reminder for reviews all the time. Yeah, but if you're usually at 45% reviews, you need to teach us a masterclass there. I think
Yeah,
about
I'm at about 25%, something in that general area.
yeah, I think I'm about 1 in 3, but 45%. I mean, yeah, and nobody, there's no good number, by the way, guys. It really depends. Like, if you have a digital download shop where people just buy it, downloads, and they very rarely even have to message you, you
It'll be a
probably won't
lot.
get many reviews. Yeah. Whereas if you've got a handmade wedding dress shop where someone spends 6 months back and forth with you, you're likely to be nearly 100% reviews. So.
Exactly.
There's because people always ask what's a good number for everything. There's no universal good number for anything on Etsy. It depends.
Above zero. Anything above zero, amazing. You're doing great.
Exactly. And whatever you've got is your baseline, and if it's something worth improving, like what's your conversion or what's your whatever this is, if next quarter you make it better, then possibly you've done a good thing.
Yep.
Depending. I'm always wary of just taking one metric and making it better, because like I could make my conversion better by tanking my sales and only selling to one person or something, get rid of all my views and everything. So look at the big picture. But
Fair.
Lorenzo, I'm trying to figure out this one while I read it. I'm trusting you haven't said anything naughty, because I can't read and talk at the same time. Can Etsy create 4 categories tabs to search more relevant, separated by handmade, partially AI or all AI, POD, partially or totally, created all or by a third party? Oh, like, right, tabs on Etsy. Yes. Josh sort of made it feel like they were going to do almost a kind of carousel type thing to search, like a year or so ago. They gave this kind of idea that something like that was coming. Other people have suggested, which I totally agree, it's like you could have separate Etsies, like Amazon has Amazon Handmade. Not that most people know about it. You could definitely have different Etsies, and it wouldn't be that hard for them. But
Or at the
absolutely.
very least, add a filter. There's a filter to switch between handmade, vintage, and are supplies in there? No, I think it's just handmade and vintage. But there's like the filters that you can do when you make a search. It would be nice if there was permanent filters that you could set. I never want to see POD or something along those lines. And then you could turn it on after if you did want to see it. But having a more persistent filter would be nice and would do this kind of thing. But it would also rely on the seller being honest, because a lot of sellers make stuff with AI do not say that they made it with AI. They still say it's a handmade item. I did everything from scratch. And it's like, well,
you can totally tell. That's like,
yeah.
I was literally looking at the one the other day, and it was a cute cat that had a tail coming out of its belly. And it's like, did you not even slightly sniff check that's what real cats look like? And I'm very disappointed by all the pictures of dragons on Etsy and all the other sites that are absolutely just AI. At least check that the legs come out of the right.
Photographs?
Sorry?
They're not real photographs, the dragons?
So some of them are, yes. It's okay. Some are real dragons.
I hope so.
I've got loads of dragons behind me. Oh, I didn't notice that. ArtSpark alt text has changed from 250 to 500 characters. So Etsy are wanting us to be more descriptive, or people were running up to a problem there. But again, be descriptive, don't be spammy. Don't be keyword stuffy.
That's one of the feedback things that I had given Etsy about a year ago. I was like, there's 250 characters is less than it's less than you really need to describe an item. If you want to describe what something looks and feels like, and the lighting on something and the angle it's at, 250 characters is not a lot to work with. So I'm glad that they raised that limit, and I'm going to say it's because of me. They did it because of me.
Oh, it's entirely you. Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, well, Bryan thinks so. Okay, let's do it.
Cat. Good point. I use alt text due to double vision, and my friend's colorblind, so it's vital for her. Great points. Like colorblind, describe the color. I've got a friend who's she's functionally blind. She's considered blind now, in that she could get a guide dog, but she has reasonable vision. Like, she can get around, but it helps. She wants to buy pretty things.
If I see a photo and something is blue or it's purple, it looks exactly the same to me. Put the two colors next to each other, and I could tell you that they're different. I could tell you which one's which. But if I just see it, it looks the exact same to me. I have color blindness with the purples and blues. So like in an alt text saying this purple ball is actually very helpful for someone like me who would also see that as blue. So it is actually very helpful for that reason, for color blindness, for a lot of different vision impairments.
Yeah, very good point. It's like we just think about blindness, which people are like, why would it? But blind people do use the internet to buy things, and they rely on this. But there's a lot of other sight impairments or rubbish cracked screen problems that people just use the screen readers. So yeah. Christopher, doesn't Google index alt text for SEO? So that would help with offsite ads. Not quite. It doesn't. My understanding, like Bryan said, it's to help with, to explain what your image is for image searches. I can't remember. It definitely did sort of give a slight boost, just like having your whole shop filled in correctly for Etsy does. There was a time when Google was going, okay, you've got alt text, so that's a tiny little extra tick. Tiny though. Look, if you all these things are tiny. Everything. The most important thing is make stuff that people like, including for offsite ads. You know, Etsy's only going to pay for things that are going to be good on Google. Google's only going to put forward adverts that are going to make it money. So all these little tweaks mean less than just making really cool listings.
Anna asked, tagging Kat, when you're browsing, do you want whatever text is on the product written in the alt text? And your friend would need the colors listed, obviously. Yes. If you have a shirt and it says, I make friends, you want it to be in the alt text. It's a black shirt with white text that says, I need friends. Like, that should be on there as well, because it's not just about people that can't, it's not just about reading what the photo is, it's about the computer or device itself reading it back to you. So if I can't see it at all, I need something to tell me what's on it. If it just says it's a black shirt with white writing on it, that doesn't help me at all. I don't actually know what I'm looking at. So having it in full detail describe the photo as if you just had a photo in front of you and you're telling me exactly what that is. That's what it's looking for with the alt text.
Yeah, exactly. It's that level of detail. How would you describe it to your blind friend? They want to know what it says on it and stuff as well.
Exactly.
Linda, good. We've inspired Linda. Might try the first pick on a bestseller. Yeah, that's 100. I can. It's not going to hurt your listing to add alt text to it. Like, see when we say don't touch your best-selling listing. That's general, really good advice, basically because people would sign up for eRank and then dive in and think they could make their shop 100 times better by changing all their listings immediately.
Change the photo, change the title, change the tags, change the description, change the pricing, change everything at once.
Yeah.
And that will kill a listing.
Yeah, that's it. So people were killing their listing. Making small changes doesn't hurt your listing so long as you understand what you're doing. Adding alt text doesn't take away from any of the SEO at all. If you suddenly changed all your tags, there's a chance you've removed the thing that's telling Etsy you're relevant for the keyword, so it won't understand to show you anymore. It's not re-indexed you or anything, it's just gone, oh, I can't see you anymore. I can't put you up there in the first place. So I know there's a kind of myth going about that if you do anything, it sort of resets your listing. But no, it's like if you change an image or something, you're going to see a change over time. It's not immediately going to crash out a search or something. So. But Starla's so much better than me at like reading and talking at the same time.
I am also bad at it if it means anything. If you haven't found anything else, Fancy Flamingo says,
I just got there. Yeah.
if I want to sell to US and Canada, can I make a US listing and a Canada listing? I think this allows me to control my provider, shipping costs, etc. better. Unfortunately, you can't do that because you have to set, like, a delivery profile has to have the country that you are in. So if you're in the US, you can't create a listing that doesn't sell to the US. You can, I don't know if the US has the global pricing tool. If it does, there's the domestic and global pricing tool. You can set it so that your Canadian listing has a US price of $10,000 and it's $10 for Canada. That's one way to kind of do that. The other way is to, I assume that it's POD, and that's why you need to control the provider. Set it to manual. That way you can choose the provider yourself instead of it automatically choosing the provider. Especially as a Canadian, when we get something from the States, anything over $20, and we are paying duties on that. If it's coming through UPS, we're also paying a brokerage fee, and it is frustrating. So I understand why you're doing that. But there's no way to, there's no way to create completely separate listings, unfortunately. So setting your POD company to manual, that will allow you to manually choose which provider you use. And if you have access to the domestic and global pricing tool, you can adjust just in case the Canadian provider is more expensive than the US provider. You can set your prices slightly differently based on where they are.
Yep, someone let us know. I had the feeling that the US didn't have the global and domestic pricing.
I think they do, and that's why I'm like, I don't know if it's there.
I know. If you haven't guessed, neither of us are from the US, so we don't get to see what your shop looks like in the US. We have the option for setting different prices for global and domestic, but I don't 100% know, but I think the US doesn't. So someone in the US let us know, like Jessica or Debbie. In fact, yeah, Debbie's the US too. Oh, good, Linda. Yeah, for improvements for Etsy, I'd like to see better TV ads. They show the most obscure things like lamps, shelves, and jackets. I've never seen anything about one of a kind and handmade jewelry. And there are so many sellers. Yeah, jewelry. They apart from this little bit where they went weird and were giving French mind cheese and Where's Wally and things like that. But there was a very sorry, still salty on that. That there's been any Etsy ads I've seen have a very singular look that's very sort of, it's not just mid-century modern or minimalist or something. It always makes me think of a psychiatrist's office or something in the 70s. Or, I don't know, but they do have a one look, which is.
I feel like that is likely to change since Etsy said that they're going to be doing more digital ads. So there's going to be more ads on YouTube and Netflix and more digital platforms, which means the cost of those ads goes right down, because it does seem like they have like one backdrop that they're using, and that's where they film. It might be in Etsy's headquarters for all we know, and that's. But once they start doing more ads and they're able to just kind of pump them out, there's probably going to be a lot more handmade stuff and a lot more artisanal things,
and they
instead
can
of
target things better. Like they can look at Bryan's Facebook and say, "You've been searching for spooky stuff. Here's a spooky ad." They can really, like, some of the online ads can be very targeted. As we said, like Shein, Temu, and whatever, they do blooming well with their targeted ads, and Etsy's very behind with that. I just stopping myself every single day, just scrolling through Facebook. Oh, I'm not buying from Temu again. Stop doing that.
fair. Justina said, the one right under that said, you can go to the competitor reviews to see what they're selling currently. That's a great thing. Some people do leave their shop sales open as well, where you can click on the shop number at the very top on their number of sales, and you can see their most recent sales. Generally, you want to turn that off. But for those people that do have that off, you can go to their reviews and see what's most recently reviewed, and that'll give you an idea of what they're selling and buyers' perception of it. If a buyer is saying, it arrived damaged, or I didn't like the packaging, or if they say, I really love the packaging, that gives you an idea of packaging for that type of product is important, and so maybe you need to step up your game. If they say, like, you can actually base your products on those reviews and kind of use other people's reviews to uplift your products and know what people are looking for and what they're not looking for.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that as well. It's a way to snoop. You can see sometimes if you're lucky, they can say, "Oh, that was great, but I wish it came in this color. I wish it came in this material. I wish it was cheaper. I wish it was higher quality or something." You get that kind of feedback, that market research without having to do any work. So definitely competitors' reviews is a good place to snoop. Definitely. Oh, Linda's given us our secrets for her 45% reviews.
Like, see
What
what
people
people
like.
like with their kids and sending a gift I know they'll like.
Wow, that's way too clever.
Next, Mark. Sprouted Dream says, in doing product research, I found a beautiful shops in Ukraine, but the shipping info said it shipped from Pennsylvania. Do they ship to a warehouse like eBay? It's very possible that there's two major possibilities, and then probably a whole bunch of other ones. The first is that it's print on demand. Print on demand doesn't just mean t-shirts, mugs. It could also mean custom jewelry. It could, like, there's a lot of things that are print on demand that don't seem like they are. So it's very possible that it is coming from a print on demand provider. The other thing is they could be doing like an AWS, like Amazon Warehouse Services, where they are shipping their products to the US to a warehouse, and then it's shipped out locally from there. And that saves on shipping costs, that saves on shipping time, and just a lot of other factors. I know that when I buy stuff for my printers, a lot of time it is, even though I'm buying from a shop's website, it'll come from their AWS. It'll come through Amazon, just because Amazon has the logistics in place, so it makes it just a lot easier and a lot cheaper to ship.
Absolutely. There's a sad third option that we do see a little bit of as well.
Is
They
they're
could
claiming
be,
from Ukraine and they're not? Yeah.
well, no, that's the awful one, but there are also refugees. There are people who will possibly currently be in the US or be somewhere else. They're genuinely from the Ukraine and they want to keep that in their shop, obviously, but they're living somewhere else currently. So we have actually seen quite a lot of that.
Did not think of that one, but that's true. That's
Yeah.
most likely what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Like,
there's less. Yeah, but when all this first started, there were a few people who would set their shops to Ukraine to try and profit off of the goodwill, because there are some horrible people. But hopefully that's less now. So yes, there's probably some very good reasons for it. I know your spidey senses go, "What's going on there?" But yes, it's if you love the item, you know it's coming from Pennsylvania, so it might just mean you'll get it quicker.
it could also be a dropship item, and that's junk.
Yes.
That's a possibility too. You never know, and unfortunately, Etsy does not take good enough care to get rid of those drop shippers and stuff. But
Yeah. Well,
supposedly,
reverse image search before you buy. There's a way around it. If it's a scammy, hopefully it's not. It sounds not, but if it's a scammy site, reverse image search and you'll find it elsewhere. You'll find the item on other sites.
exactly. Anna said she's playing with the Sites tool, which we brought back for everyone that didn't notice. Go to the Sites tool. You can look up any website. You can look up Etsy. You can compare it to other Etsy alternatives, that kind of thing. And we're currently working on improving that tool. We just brought back the old tool. Basically, we're working on improving that. So if you have any improvements, send them. Either put them in the Facebook group, send them through chat. Just let us know what you would like that tool to be, because we are in the middle of revamping it completely. So let us know what you want to see. But she said, and Etsy still ranks 57 in the US, which seems very good. That's out of every single website on the US, in the US. And that's millions and millions and millions of websites. 57 is actually very, very good.
And that's why when people say to me, "What's a good alternative to Etsy?" there ain't one yet. Not that's at 57. Yeah, I do just want to say quickly, the sites tool is just for pro and expert subscription levels on eRank just now. However, if you join if you're not in our Facebook group, link in description, we are sharing at least the Etsy screens and everything just now, so you can have a look at what's going on. We're not gatekeeping the data. We're sharing it there where we can. Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, we are looking. Sorry.
Sorry, I was just gonna jump on there. Sorry. Created by EJF said, with alt text, do you describe the whole scene of the pic or just the item for sale? Do we include the props? Yes. So if you have a book on a table and the background is a bookshelf with a whole bunch of books, then say that. Because start with the item. Always start with the most important thing first, and then break it down and go further and further out. Let me know that it's open. The book is open. Like really describe the book. And if you still have more space, describe where it is, describe why it is, say that sunlight is beaming onto it, all of those types of things to fully give, you took the photo a certain way, give that feeling to someone who can't see the photo. Make them feel that even though they can't see it.
You can sell it by explaining the beauty in it, but also if people are just partially sighted, blurred vision, everything else, if you explain what everything is, if they can see a bit, then they get to know, oh, that's the item. So that's the color of the item, or that's the shape of the item. It helps them focus in if they're using it. If they're using the alt text in conjunction with the picture, it helps them zone in and see, oh, that's where the item is in the scene, and that must be a bookshelf or something.
The Geek Authority, just to quickly run through that one because it's long. In registration of each listing before post, can you this is about it should be specified between AI, partially AI, POD. This would make it easier for Etsy to monitor the liars, wouldn't it? Unfortunately, it would not, because someone would have to manually be looking at 100 and I think there's 140 something million listings on Etsy right now, and that's a lot of listings to verify if they are what they say they are.
Yeah.
It's just the manpower to do that, unfortunately, is not there at the moment. AI is more likely going to pick up and be able to do that type of thing, but Etsy's AI is not at that point yet where it can correctly identify if something is AI or not, or POD or not, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Sadly, it's very difficult. Just Etsy got too successful, and it's very difficult.
Yeah. Kat asks, if you get time, yay, time. What are the main benefits of eRank Pro over Basic, please? I'm thinking of upgrading now that you have the annual subscription. There is now an annual subscription option for those who didn't know it. You get a little discount for using it. The main differences between Pro and Basic at the moment are the amount of searches you can do per day. With the keyword tool, with the listings tool, all the different tools have higher limits. One of the biggest advantages in the way that I use eRank is the competitor sales tool. Instead of 5 competitor shops that you can track, with the Pro account you can track 50 shops, which is a huge difference. And tracking 5 competitors is sometimes really, really not enough. There's little things like the sites tool is only available for Pro and Expert users, and there's going to be a few more tools where you definitely get a lot more out of them if you're using Pro over Basic.
Yeah, if you're finding yourself restricted by the caps we've got on Basic, which are there, like Basic is just there a gap between the two. It's good enough to get you a load of data and stuff, but Pro does have, I mean, I like the number of keyword lists. It's great to be able to store loads of data, store loads of competitors. So if you start to find yourself being a heavy user and really need extra, I don't know how many people are running up all their quota all the time of keyword searches, but we are storing tons of competitors, apart from Bryan, he's a weirdo. We are we are storing lots and lots of competitors. We're storing lots of keywords and keyword lists. We're tracking lots of shops, so there's a whole extra things you can do there. But
If you have more shops, or you have if you have a lot of listings, I believe the basic account it looks at 200 listings versus the pro account, which is 4,000 listings, I think,
I'll tell
something
you in
like
a
that. So if you have
second.
more than 200 listings, then it's the 200 most recent listings that are being audited of yours, which means it's harder to get to the older listings. So if you have a listing that hasn't sold in a while and you have 500 listings, the listing audit isn't showing those when you're doing health check, when you're doing all those things. It's only showing the 200 most recent listings.
Yeah, it's pro is 4,000 listings per shop.
Which means that you now have more access to all of your listings. You have more access through the health check. You have more access through any of the tools that compile your keywords and show you which ones you're using more and that kind of thing. So if you have a lot of listings, pro account is almost a necessity, just because you are missing out on a lot of the data on a lot of your listings.
Yeah, right. We're out of time, but we only have a couple more comments. So I think we'll just speed through these and then get off. Yeah.
I have no kid to pick up from a bus. We're good.
Fair enough. I'm just seeing what's a question and what's people just chatting, which I'm not very good at doing again and talking.
I see
Okay.
what
In a niche where seasonality is strong, what will you recommend if an item can fit into several events or seasons? Will you put all the possible fits in one listing or only go with one? In your not categories, in your attributes, you can't, if your item can fit into several holidays, as it were, then it's not relevant to use that attribute. It has to be like, you can't say, oh, this item could be a Christmas gift and an Easter gift and a Mother's Day gift. It has to be like a Santa hat mug. That's a Christmas gift. If you're just talking about in your titles and things, look at where it is selling best, look at where it fits into best, and look at what season's coming up. Plenty of people will change out some of their listings for Mother's Day coming up, so we'll make some Mother's Day, maybe swap in some, like have a last tag that you swap in and out of things. So
if you have something that works for multiple seasons or multiple events that are separated, so for different holidays, if you have an item that works for Valentine's Day and for Mother's Day and for, it's also a Halloween item or something along those lines, just change. I personally, I would use one listing and change the photos out and have one tag dedicated to the holiday. That way you can just swap out and quickly change it for the next holiday or the next season that's coming up.
yeah, the
If it's something,
exceptions.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the exceptions for switching out. If you have something that sells well specifically for Christmas or Halloween, I would keep them all year round because people buy those all year round. Definitely.
Exactly. I was just trying to look. I don't have one near me, but I have like ghost bunnies. And so that's a hot Easter item, but it's also a hot Halloween item. So I will have them. I have one listing, and when Easter's coming up, so right now, the main photo looks a lot more Eastery, and I have Easter as in the tags. And then once Easter's done, it's now a Halloween item, so the photo looks more Halloween-like, and the Easter tag is now a Halloween tag. So I have one tag dedicated. That way, I'm not messing with any other possible keywords. I'm just messing with that one tag with those keywords and switching it between the holidays. And the photo kind of works for the different holidays. I switch it around so that it is more appealing to that holiday without completely having a second listing, and then people are like, well, what's the difference between these? Or they don't have to be in different sections. It just makes life easier, and you're not spending the 20 cents US for every listing.
Yeah. So you answered the second part of their question, what to do when the holidays are over. And quick cat, thank you. Tracking 50 competitors would be handy. It absolutely is.
It so is. And if you can't come up with all your competitors, and maybe I'm just the weirdo here, but I also have Pam in there. I have friends, I have family that are on Etsy. That way I'm also there to congratulate them when they hit 5,000 sales. I'm there to be like, oh, you had a great week. Like, I'm tracking your friends and family is just as important as tracking your competitors sometimes. And having 50 is 5 is not enough.
Yeah, I filled up 50 quite a lot. We're on the expert. I'm on the expert. I don't know. Did you get onto the expert?
Nope, I'm on pro.
Right. You need, because I've got 200. Yes, we need to upgrade Bryan to expert, Anthony. But yeah, I've got 200.
I will use it too much.
Oh, that might. Yes, you'll bankrupt the company all by yourself. All right, and last comment, created by EJF. Easter is late this year. By the time Easter is over, it's almost Halloween. It's always Halloween shopping season. Okay, guys. Thank you all so much for joining us. Yeah, and helping us out with
subscribe, follow us on Facebook. We do shop critiques on Reddit in reddit.com/Etsy community or eRank community. And thank you for joining us.
All the stuff. Thank you so much.
It wasn't easy.